you know, on one level, I'm somebody who grew up working for Bob Dylan and Martin Scorsese, you know. So I actually believe in the author and the artist, the auteur. And I actually think that there's a very important role for the true artist in life. And so when I look at YouTube and see 500,000 dancing cat videos, to me, it just doesn't pass the who cares test, you know? I mean, I could care less. So if we're gonna replace Martin Scorsese with dancing cats, count me out, you know? That doesn't interest me. You know, they have these huge signs on the walls that say, move fast and break things. And that's the right spirit. One of the other signs they have on the wall on Facebook, and they're all over the place, is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? You know, so that's the spirit we need to have for this thing. The second thing is something that they say at Apple all the time, which is culture eats strategy for lunch every day. And I think this is really a profound point. Because basically what it says is, you can have a strategy of innovation. You can have a strategy of change. But if you don't have a culture of change, your strategy is going to not mean anything. By lunchtime, it'll be gone. Now, they come at it from two different ways, right? Google comes at it from, you are searching for something, so I'm going to send you an ad based on your search. And Facebook comes at it from the point of view of, you've just written a post about something, and we know all this information about you. What bands you like, what food you like, what restaurant you went to last night, where. So they're both giving you the same thing, only in different ways. But the question is would Facebook's way of understanding who you are be more powerful than Google's? So the general perception in the marketing business, at least in the US, is that you would be more likely to accept a message about a product from a friend than you would from just an advertiser. So this is why the Facebook idea becomes so powerful, right? And it is, in a sense, an automated word-of-mouth system, right? So they are very much different utilities for you, but in essence, they're both in the exact same business, which is, where is the next level of where advertising goes? And that's why, you know, when I talked about the stalker app, you know, the question becomes, yes, you know, behavioral advertising can be very important, but if companies misuse this information that you give them, then perhaps governments will intervene in a way in which no one will be able to keep a database about anybody, and then that'll all go away. And so that's the very delicate balance that is being negotiated right now between, you know, your privacy versus your sense of utility of, yes, I'll give you some information if you'll give me something back, like a cheaper flight, just at the point when I decide I want to go to London, you'll give me that back because you knew I fly to London a lot, you know? And so that's the negotiation that's being played out. And it's going through all sorts of iterations, and there are many, this geolocation thing becomes a very important part of it, because knowing right where you are physically at the right moment may be a very important part of this new future. Well, right now, consumers have more power. But that leads us to question is, what is that going to produce, you know, in terms of, you know, vita brevis arte longus, you know, what is this new prosumer society going to make that will last into the ages? That's still an open question right now. And so, yes, you know, there are, you know, probably 900 million videos on YouTube. Are there 10 that will last for the ages? You know, I don't know. But right now, the consumer clearly has the power. So we're caught between, on one hand, a productivity revolution that is so powerful that it is making any job that was simple enough to be replicated either can be made by software, automation, or can be outsourced to China. So that's a big problem. So I agree with you totally that the notion that, you know, knowledge society can survive per se is probably wrong. And, you know, we're going to find out in the next 5-10 years. It's either going to come crashing down and there's going to be riots in the street, or not. And, you know, but that becomes a social welfare problem. I think it's in the balance. I'm worried, quite frankly. There were two, you know, dystopian or, you know, science fiction books written in the 30s, or I guess the second one written in the early 40s. One was George Orwell's 1984, and the other was Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. So Orwell thought that the problem was that Big Brother would be watching you, and I don't know if there are any cameras in this room, but, you know, other than that one, but, you know, and he would put his boot on your neck. You know, that was his word. And Huxley's fear was very different. It's that you would be kind of entertained into a torpor, into a sleep. That you would take a pill every day called Soma, and that was kind of like part Prozac, part Viagra, and make you feel a little sexy, but feel very calm. Your basic job was to go out shopping. You would go to movies that were called feelies, that would just kind of envelop you like Avatar, and you would basically, you know that there was always a war being fought somewhere, but you never knew anyone who actually fought in the war, but that was the reason why the government could watch over you and everything. And so Huxley, I think, turned out to be right. You know, that the problem is, you know, kind of a one of, and, you know, we feel it really much more in the US. You know, we watch and we see people in the streets in Madrid or Athens or something like that, and we realize that we got screwed by the banks too, right? I mean, we collectively bailed out the big banks for $1 trillion, right? The taxpayers. And the bankers doing great. But there's nobody in the streets in the US. They're all watching reality TV, you know? They're or going to Avatar or whatever the latest blockbuster is. So I worry in the sense of you can spend hours of your day on Facebook updating your status and making sure that you're in touch with all your friends. But that doesn't give you any political consciousness. And so I'm amused by all this, but I'm also disturbed. You know,